Good afternoon, 3D Effect team members, and welcome to this week's edition of Monday Minutes with Mary Kay, because this week we have a special guest with us. We have Miss Andrea. Andrea, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
And Andrea, let's go ahead and start in our little get to know you chat by sharing. You have a very interesting story about your family and how they came to Arizona. Share that with us.
Well, I came here with my family when I was 7 years old. I am the youngest. I have two older sisters and then, of course, my mom and dad. We are from Germany. We immigrated from Germany in 1970. I actually didn't come till 1971. And my dad came over here for work, basically. And during those days, you had to be sponsored by an employer to be allowed to come here. So my dad was a car mechanic for German cars, and I guess there was a need for that here at the time. And so I obviously had to come with him. So my dad came here and started working for the company, and then he had to sponsor us to come here as well. So we all came here from Germany, not speaking the language. And, you know, I guess I would say probably for my dad, it was the American dream, you know, that made him want to come here, and having the opportunity to do that with someone who helped him get here.
I love that. And so tell us about where you are now. Are you married? Do you have children? Tell us a little bit about that.
I am actually divorced. I have a son. The son is not from the divorce or the marriage or whatever you want to call it. I had Daniel in a relationship with someone that I thought I was going to be with, but it didn't end up working out. So I've been a single mom for a long time. My son is going to be 24 in September. He graduated from ASU this past fall, and he got a major in biology. So it's just been he and I for a very, very long time. And I have to say it's probably because I am one of those crazy moms who loves her kids, as many of us crazy moms do. That has really been the best part of my life is raising that boy.
And you know, one thing that I do know about you is you have never used your son as an excuse. You've always used him as a reason. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, would have to say my son is the reason that I probably get up every single day. You know, he's the reason that I want to show him, you know, how good life can be and how wonderful people can be. So, I mean, he's just really important to me, and I don't want him to think that the world is terrible. And so to get up every day and to get along with people and to work hard, I mean, that's how my parents raised me. I mean, I can't take any credit for that because I had really, really good parents, and I grew up in a really, really wonderful home, and my parents were loving and took care of us so wonderfully. So I really can't take credit for that. The person that I am is how my mom was, and how I am to Daniel is how my mom was to me. So it's really you know, it's always been really important for me to show to Daniel how much I love him and how important he is to me. And yeah, he's really my reason that I do anything, because I think if some of the things that have happened to me over the past few years, if I didn't have him, I probably would have just crawled in a hole and said to heck with it all.
Well, and something I want to go back to for a minute. I heard you say your family migrated here, were immigrants from Germany. So did you come here knowing the language and knowing what was going to happen? And how old were you?
I was 7, and no, I don't remember all the details. One of the earliest things that I remember is running through the airport in New York after we went through customs and trying to catch our plane. And then the next thing I remember is getting off the plane in Arizona, and my oldest sister, who was already here with my dad, and my dad standing there waiting for us, and this oven. It was like an oven to walk out of the plane. Because at that time, you didn't have those attachments, you know, where you walk through the air-conditioned attachment to the terminal. You
Yeah.
walk stairs onto the airport, and it was as hot, so hot. That is my first memory of Arizona. And not speaking the language, my parents went ahead and put us in school. I mean, they did obviously, you know, talk and make sure that we were ready for that. And they decided, because we were so young, and I mean, generally, I think younger kids just pick things up quicker, that they were just going to put us in the classroom, and didn't know the language. So I do remember some of that at the beginning being kind of hard, because I couldn't communicate with anybody. I did have some help with one of the ladies there who was the nurse. She spoke some German. So she would pull me aside every so often and help me learn a few things. So, but that was a very short time. I mean, I think I caught on really fast, because I don't remember things being hard for a very long time. And, you know, as a kid, I think you just adapt so easily. I don't think it was that easy for my parents, though, because they didn't speak the language either, and it took them much longer to, you know, to be able to get around. But I have to say, you know, my parents never complained. So I think everybody was very warm and accepting. And I mean, my life was great with my family. You know, everything was always really good, and my parents took care of everything. So I think they were able to figure it out and work really hard and you know, make it work.
So do you still remember some German today?
Yes,
Can you
I
just say
do.
a sentence for us and tell us what you're saying?
Let's see. Well, I'll just say something really easy. Ich liebe dich.
And what is that?
It means I love you.
Oh, I love you too, but I could not repeat that.
It always makes fun because
I love that. Thank you.
that the German language has, he always makes fun of it.
I love that. Thank you for doing that for us. Now, the next question I have for you is, how did Avon come into your life?
I was laid off from my job at the University of Phoenix, and in 2010, yes, because it was right after Thanksgiving. And you know, I kind of started looking around for, you know, what I could do. And I went to this meeting for people that had lost their jobs, just to kind of to help them, you know, with learning how to do resumes and interviews and that kind of stuff. And one of the things that they mentioned is that, you know, that I should maybe think about finding something that I could do on my own, that not being dependent on a corporation. And Avon was just kind of came up to me because, you know, they kept saying you could be an independent representative and you would work for yourself. So that was very interesting to me. And I always wanted to try Avon. So I requested to get more information. And someone came to my house. She was a district manager to talk to me about Avon and the possibilities with Avon. And it was very intriguing. And so I went ahead and signed up, and I started going to her meetings. And I have to admit that first year, I didn't have any customers at all, or the first 9 months or something. And then this particular district manager that I had was no longer part of Avon. And I was able to join a different group, and I was put under a different district manager. That was Denise Palmquist at the time. And she kind of pulled me into the circle, and I decided every time she emailed me and said that they were having a meeting, they were going to be getting together to, you know, do some training. We were going to go and walk around and meet people. We were going, whatever it was, an event, whatever it was. I went to every single thing that she put out there. And it was the best thing that I did, because not only did I get to meet Mary, I got to meet all of the other Avon representatives. I was by myself for those first 9 months or whatever it was. I didn't know anybody. And all of a sudden I got to meet all these great people. And we would walk around apartment buildings and put brochures out. We would go to stores and ask if we could put brochures in their stores. We would do events where we would meet all these different people. And it was just the best thing that ever happened to me, because that's when I started getting my customers that I have to this day, that have become such a big part of my life. So it was a really, a wonderful thing. And I loved Avon. And then the best thing that happened to me was meeting Mary.
Aww.
I got to be able to work with her on a one-on-one basis. She pulled me under her, into her fold, into her arms, and started teaching me all kinds of stuff about Avon that I had no clue about. I mean, when you're out there, as an Avon rep, you're just, you're trying to get customers. So I actually started learning how Avon worked. And that really made a big difference in my life. And also because she had her own team, I got to meet her team, and it's just grown from there. And I am so grateful to be able to be a part of that.
And and a fun fact for many that don't know is, with the help of corporate, you were able to come on to our team, and we're so grateful and honored to have you. Your talent in the newsletter, that's a labor of love, and a lot of people don't know that that's all you. It's something that we had talked about for years and years, but you had done that for a nonprofit before and was really able to bring that experience and love of doing it to us. And all of those emails that say they come from me, they really don't. They come from Andrea. So, so appreciate and grateful that you're on the team. And Andrea, one thing that I know about you is the last probably 5 years have been a little rough. Can you walk us through what that has been like?
Yeah, well, this June, July of 2020, I celebrated 5 years of being cancer-free or cancer. When I was diagnosed with cancer, it was actually the end of 2014. It was at Christmas time. I was diagnosed with cervical cancer, and my son was a senior in high school. So it was a crazy time. I can't really imagine, what was going through his head. Unfortunately, because I waited too long to take care of myself, my cancer was pretty far along. And when we found out, I'm sure he was really scared, as was I. I mean, I wanted to see my son grow up, and I was scared I wasn't going to see him graduate from high school. And but we decided to fight. I had a really good doctor, and she laid out a plan for us and said, this is what we needed to do. Did I want to do that? And I said, yes. Whatever I needed to do, I was going to do. And so we started the process. I had radiation and chemotherapy, internal and external radiation. I had 2 rounds of chemo. The second round, I actually lost all of my hair.
Look at how long it is now.
5 years. It grows like a weed now. I don't know what happened there. But I got through it. And I got stronger. I mean, actually, I couldn't say I got stronger, because actually I had to get weaker, but not being in pain from the cancer was such a relief when the tumor started shrinking, because I had a tumor, that I felt good, because of, the treatments that I was getting were taking that away from me. But, I did, once the cancer was gone, I kind of did have to fight my way back. I mean, cancer kind of takes it out of you. And so it took me a little while to get strong, for my hair to grow back. But the one thing that I always had was Avon, and I had all these people around me that cared about me. So it was just something that Daniel and I had to get through in my family. And we did. And I couldn't be more grateful. Of course, Mary was there as well. She was there through the whole thing with me, and quite a few other people. Tamara, she was fighting her own battle at that time, and it was quite the experience. But I am so lucky that it went the way it did. And here I am.
Yay. And
Yay.
then about 3 years ago, share with us about your sister.
Yeah, it's been a hard 5 years. This September, it'll be 3 years. Well, my sister passed away. She was only in her early 60s, and she had not been feeling well, but I was all stubborn like me. Although I ended up going to the doctor, she never went, but she ended up passing away, and they said that she had a blood clot that went to her brain that was inoperable, and she ended up passing, having, I'm assuming, a stroke. And when that happened, my mom, who was in her 80s, she had been going through, some medical things over the years. She was living up there with my sister. So when my sister passed away, I took over the care for my mom. And so that kind of changed my life a little bit. So I spent a lot of time up in Chino Valley going back and forth for the first year, taking her to her doctor's appointments. We found out that she had bladder cancer. So we had to fight that. She had a heart condition. So they wanted to do some additional things with her. And we did a lot of it. In 2019, she had some additional operations on her heart, and we were fighting the bladder cancer, and we thought we were doing so great. We thought we had finally, kind of beat it, and she was gonna, get through it. And then in December of last year, she started not feeling well, and we were kind of surprised because we can't say after all the procedures that she's feeling really great, and we expected her to do a lot better. But she was 86. She'd been fighting for a long time, and when she wasn't getting any better, I took her to the hospital in January of this year. We found out that she had liver cancer secondary, which means that the bladder cancer had spread, and they weren't able to really do anything for her anymore because she was very jaundiced, and all her organs were starting to shut down. We were able to bring her home, and I had my mom home for a couple of weeks with me, and she passed away February 17th of this year. And hey, I got this far this time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and one of the things that I'm so grateful of is that you and mom were here for my 50th birthday. And I
Yeah.
got, and to going and seeing her when she was at the house with hospice called in, and having that conversation with her was just so I was just so grateful to know mom. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she was really good until probably the last week before she passed, because the jaundice was so bad, it was attacking every part of her body. And she just slept most of the time, and she was becoming very forgetful, and she wouldn't talk very much anymore. But I have to say, up until that moment, her mind was crisp, and we would have the most wonderful conversations. And Daniel and I spent every moment that we could with her. I was still able to babysit at that time. That was before COVID went crazy. And I still went to my family and did the nanny thing. So when I wasn't here, Daniel was here. We made sure his work worked it out with him. And so it was a really important time. I got to have all those important conversations with my mom before she couldn't understand anymore. And so I think, when she passed, I had said everything I wanted to. Sorry.
No, don't even apologize. It's still real. It's still raw. And we appreciate that. And so tell us, I hear you say a lot that Avon is your happy place. So
Well, because
how has Avon been your happy place through these last 5 years of some pretty much hell on earth that you've gone through?
yeah, I've missed probably a couple of orders over the last, I don't know how many years, where I didn't have any orders, so I didn't see somebody, but I could you know, pretty much 99% say that every 2 weeks I have my orders. Every 2 weeks I get to go see my customers, talk with them. Um, you know, now of course not so much. So I talk to them on the phone. A few I text, you know, whatever works. You know, I have some customers that I email. It's, you know, it just depends on how they want to communicate with me. But that has been my saving grace, because if I couldn't do that every 2 weeks, I would probably just have, you know, melted away here, because it's been a rough time, and unfortunately, the fight hasn't finished yet for me. With my mom passing, I still have a lot of things that I need to take care of, which is a constant reminder of my mom. And but yeah, Avon has just been so good for me, because not only do I get to see my customers, or maybe not see them, whatever, talk to them.
Porch deliveries through the window.
Exactly. But we get our Zoom meetings, you know, so I get to be part of Avon still on a regular basis. If it's, I mean, the training meetings with corporate, you know, with our meetings, the power hour, the virtual chat, you know, you and I chat a lot. So, I mean, it's just really been the best thing for me, because if I didn't have that, I think I probably would have gone nuts, honestly, with you.
Well, and I know for me as well, Avon is my happy place. So I totally get that. When the storm's all around and I have no control, I have control with Avon. I can go and watch that training, or I can call a customer and serve somebody even while I'm in my storm. And that's something that you are absolutely about as well.
Yeah.
And I've known you for quite a while, and you are an overcomer, and that spitfire that mom has is in you, and it's so beautiful to watch. And the mom that you are, and the loving, caring person that you are, I'm just so grateful to have you, not only in my life, but as a business partner, and as a big, huge, important to the team, because you do matter so much to this team, and they don't even know it.
Oh.
So thank you for that. Thank you for your heart. And let's go ahead and get our time wrapped up with a little bit of fun. So I know another thing about you, and you are a foodie. You love to cook, and you love to be cooked for. So share with us your favorite restaurant. You can only pick one, and why.
Okay, yeah, I love to eat, so this is really hard, because it actually really truly doesn't matter what I eat. I could probably name only a couple things that I don't like. Brussels sprouts is one of them.
I am too.
Yes, but I mean, I eat anything. So naming a restaurant's hard, but the one that I've been thinking about, it's because I shared it with my mom a lot. Usually when I went to go visit her in Chino, we went to Prescott, and we always ate there, is Olive Garden. And I can't say I don't love Olive Garden, because I do. I love eating there. And one of my favorites is their soup, the zuppa toscano soup. And then I do love their salad and the bread. And the one other thing that I love there is their peach tea, which I get every single time. And it has a lot of wonderful memories, of course, with my mom, but I absolutely love eating there.
So I haven't been there in a while. Thank you for that tip. And I don't like the soup, but I do love the breadsticks. So if I were to go there, and obviously can only order one thing when I go, what would that one dish be that you would recommend for me?
One of my favorites is probably the chicken parmigiana, to be honest with you. I mean, I wish they had the veal parmigiana, but they don't there. So the chicken parmigiana is the next best thing. And they do a really good job with cooking it. So if I go there, that's usually what I get.
Well, I love that. And thank you so much for our time together. Do you have any last notes for anybody who may be listening to this before we let you go?
Well, I want to apologize for crying.
No apology
but,
needed. We're human.
but I would say, you know, just if you're struggling with Avon, just put your heart into it. I mean, you have to love it, because if you love it, your customers will love it as well. And, you know, put every moment that you can into it, because it is really a wonderful opportunity to have, to be able to be part of this company. So if you're having any doubts about it, just put your heart into it and just remember how much you love it, and that love you can share with your customers.
I love that. Speaking of love. Well, thank you again for the time this week. Appreciate your heart, appreciate all that you do, and you are truly an overcomer. So thank you for being who you are.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.